Hey, Andrew here from the Investor's Way. Welcome to Woody's Weekly Wisdom, episode number 88. We're taking a different tack this week for something different, something that we haven't spoken about on these videos over all previous 87 topics. And it's all about everyone loses, experts dire tax warning. So as per normal, there's those emotive words to get you to click the link and find out what it's all about. So experts dire tax warning. Let's go and see the article. If we come up to the top, you can see I've already scrolled through it. And it's basically saying why inheritance tax would seriously backfire in Australia. So this is coming into an election year, and the whole inheritance tax topic has been discussed in the US. And so the writer of this article has looked at what they've found in the US in terms of the impacts, because they're probably a little bit further down the path on this one, and looking at whether or not it actually does deliver the results that they're looking for. And so the main result that they're looking for with an inheritance tax is to change the inequality in Australia when it comes to wealth. And we rank middle of the pack when it comes to wealth in OECD countries. And so there's, again, the governments are looking for ways to rebalance that inequality and, let's face it, raise revenue tax to enable them to do or provide other services with that money. So I'm not 100% sure that an inheritance tax in this country would do much to change the inequality, because ultimately it relies on how the government utilises that extra tax that they derive and what they do with it in terms of how that might help the inequality. So if we go down through the article, again, talking about the different options that are coming up now that we're in a tax year. We've got the Greens talking about a 10% tax on the net wealth of Australia's 150 billionaires, whilst suggesting that young Australians have a 73% support of an inheritance tax. And maybe that's because they haven't quite understood yet that for the majority of people who are not billionaires, an inheritance tax would be an unfair burden, given that these people have created this wealth with after-tax dollars already. So they've already paid tax. They've created their wealth. They've paid tax on the gains they've made in growing their wealth. And now the government wants to step in and take another shot at it to get some money to do whatever with. And so the younger generation probably thinks it's a good idea because they haven't been through the process for a long period of time where they've paid thousands and thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tax. But that aside, if we keep going here, it's all about looking at the modelling. And what does the modelling suggest if an inheritance tax was introduced? And obviously, as you can well imagine, if there's an additional tax on the wealthy, they're going to try and find a way to avoid it or evade it, one or the other. So you start seeing tax evasion, different structures being used, different methodologies used to avoid paying this tax. And with the billionaires, with the amount of money they have, they'll find a way that enables them to avoid the tax, and then it becomes a whole lot less effective and normally impacting those that it's not actually really trying to impact and derive that extra tax income from. So the big one is the incentive that it provides the wealthy to do other things like hide their assets and basically avoid that tax. And then there's a discussion in this article about what's been found with some of the proposals introduced in the US or being proposed in the US, with the different levels and rates at which it may apply. So in through here. So this is a Democratic member of the American Parliament. And this is an independent who votes with the Democrats most of the time. So they've put out proposals at different levels of tax brackets, and ranging from 2% and 3% on wealth between 50 million and a billion and above a billion. And so, on face value, sounds like a pretty good idea. Derive some extra tax from these people and use that to provide services or benefits to those who need it the most. But again, the US experience is that it doesn't always deliver the results that you were hoping it would deliver. And there's certain levels, even like this is how crazy it gets in different parts of the world. They've found different levels of tax evasion when these have been introduced. And it becomes almost like a sweet spot in terms of the amount of evasion and the maximising the tax collected, which is never a good thing. If you start out knowing that people are going to avoid this tax or evade this tax, and you have to live with a happy, happy medium median when it comes to your tax collection estimates, which is not great. Does it reduce inequality? Here it suggests that when you factor in tax evasion, everyone loses, which is not what you're looking to achieve. And then obviously you've got the whole enforcement and the costs of enforcement and so on. So it's just one of those things that as you go through, you can see, the welfare gains. It just sees, less and less positivity about an inheritance tax. And it brings me back to the fact that that it's taxing people who have already been taxed at multiple levels to generate the wealth that they have. And sure, it isn't fair necessarily that we've got all these billionaires and they're not paying their share of the tax that they should. But there has to be a better way, and we have to find a way to do that. We were all told that the GST would solve this problem because the wealthy would spend more and so they would be impacted more. That hasn't necessarily panned out. We were all told that the GST would result in a bunch of taxes being removed. That hasn't happened. And so I just do not trust a government, no matter which colour they wear, to introduce a new and additional tax into our system with the hope that it might actually produce some results when the evidence suggests around the globe that it doesn't necessarily produce the results that they want, and it just leads to a new range of ways that the wealthy will try to avoid it. And so when it comes to, I guess, how does this impact you and your current day money management and wealth practices, I think you need to be mindful that this is a possible tax that could get introduced in the future. But ultimately, for now, you just continue down the normal reign of growing that wealth and doing everything you possibly can to minimize the amount of tax that you're paying legally so that you can maximize your ultimate wealth growth over the long term without giving any more of the tax to the government than you legally have to. So that is Woody's Weekly Wisdom, episode number 88. A little bit of a different topic this week, which is great. As per normal, if you're watching on YouTube, do us a huge favour. Hit the subscribe button and the little bell to get notified when these videos come out so we can get more and more people seeing this information and helping address the statistic, which I haven't spoken about before, but the reason I'm doing these videos is we want to improve people's financial literacy so we can reduce the statistic that says only 5% of people will retire with enough money or assets to live the lifestyle that they desire in retirement. And so by improving people's financial literacy and helping people navigate their way through the maze that is growing your wealth, we hope to change that statistic. So by hitting those subscribe buttons and the bell to be notified, it helps get more people into this community so that we can help more people and ultimately change that statistic. And if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up, hit that comment button. Even in the comment button, just give us a thumbs up. And if you really want to do something extra, hit the like button, the share button, and let's get more and more people into this community, learning about how to navigate their wealth so that they can have positive money outcomes over the long term. Have a great week. We'll see you again next week. Cheers.